All right, we talked about Ross Coluthart talking about the big old UFO that was too big to move. Well, Lue Elizondo was asked about this. And when asked, you could probably guess what Lou's comment was, but take a look at this clip and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Ross Coluthart, who you know well, and you've done a wonderful interview with on News Nation, and he's carved out a wonderful niche for himself through News Nation and his reality check show. People should check that one out. Discussed a while back a UFO so big that it couldn't be moved and was actually built over Lou, and it's still used to this day as a working building. And I wonder, was that something you had heard of at the time, and how common could that be?
I unfortunately cannot discuss that. I have to be very careful. I can discuss what is in the book because I have approval to do that. What you are referring to is something that I would not be able to confirm or deny. And let me be very clear with that. I cannot elaborate at all. If someone else has elaborated on it, that's fine. I have not been given any permission to discuss anything like that.
Help me then, because on a similar tact, and it's my next question anyway, shape's often discussed as well as size. But on Joe Rogan, you mentioned a USO, so underwater, UFO basically, so big that it was the size of a small city block captured off an oil rig. So some people are going to hear this, and I'm used to the UFO conversation, but wonder why you can mention that, but not potentially the UFO under the building.
Because I'm not discussing sources and methods. I'm not discussing capabilities or locations. I'm not discussing an actual program. I'm discussing simply what was observed. You're asking me to confirm or deny something, the existence of something. I don't have permission to do that. What I can do is simply say from my personal observations, I've seen video of an event. Right. But I'm not saying where that event is, under what circumstances, what collection capabilities, where that place was, how long ago it was. I'm not giving any of that. It's just anecdotal. And so that in itself isn't classified. If I give you details of that, I could get in serious trouble. So I'm very careful not to do that.
Okay. I think, here's the thing. It's like the first part of it is that, because look, Lou's a pretty polarizing figure at this point, right? But... And this seemed to be like when he was promoting his book, but that conversation that was going around about Ross Coluthard's book in general, claim in general, that's always been there, but it's coming back up now because Ross brought it back up and had a little more information on it. But I'll tell you, I think that what Lou is saying here makes sense. It's like, look, I can tell you what I have seen and certain things that I've been cleared for, things that was something that I had seen footage of, and I know that particular thing that exists. Now, the reason why I think it is relevant to what we talked about with Ross Coluthart on the other clip was the fact that he said the reason why he couldn't say where it was is because there was something that where it was and where it was being hidden would have been, it's like a massive thing where they do other things. So programs or whatever else it might be. It also seems to be like kind of what Lou is hinting at here, that there's something, this is too big of a program or big of a thing that he doesn't have any access to talk about or clearance to discuss at all. So he can't even bring it up. I can't confirm or deny means don't ask me anything about it, because and then, there is the skeptic side point of view, which I think could be fair also. It's like, well, if he didn't really know anything about it at all, right? Could he have just said, I don't know that particular thing. I'm not as familiar with what you are asking me about. If it was a straight up no, if it was a straight up like, I don't know what you're talking about, it could be. Now, the skeptic's point of view was like, he might not know what the hell the guy's talking about, but that's going to be an answer to show like, I don't know, could be. And there has been a lot of talk about Lou potentially being someone who has been brought on to do misinformation and do those types of things, to say those types of things. I don't know what to believe when it comes to any of this stuff and anybody in general with this. This is if you follow my channel, you know well enough. I literally look and say, okay, what's the news story of the day? And I give my opinion. And so I try to stay, and I've been very clear about this, to where what I won't say is, I know for a fact that that person is that, and I think for a fact that that is that. Because I could say, listen, I think Lue is 100% legit in everything that he said, and I respect everything that he does, which is partially true. But I don't know then when I see him holding up fake UFO pictures at briefings and stuff, how I'm supposed to feel about that, you know? Because when you see that, you can say, oh, it was a mistake. This is a guy who, a very high level of intelligence and has been very calculated on a lot of different jobs and things that he's been on. You would know, well, before I bring this in front of a briefing, I got to make sure this is 100% legit. So I'm always like, at this point where I am on the topic, been following it for the last 2.5 years, whatever it might be, I always look at everything now with a grain of salt and say, okay, he very well could know about this, and he very well could be telling this guy, I can't say anything, and his reasoning was sound. I can't tell you because I don't know any. I can't dive into that program. I don't have any clearance to do so. But if you ask me about the thing that we all looked at, I can tell you what I was privy to, and that thing under the water that you asked me about. That was a good answer. But I don't know anymore, man, when it comes to people's answers and those types of things. And like I said, this seems to be an older interview, but I just think it's more relevant when it comes to what the hell is that that big old UFO that's kind of hidden in plain sight. Like, what is it? And who's hiding it? And where are they hiding it? And why? And what access and what big program outside of UFO stuff that they have there that is big enough to hold this thing? Why was it approved? Who knows about it? How many people know about it? If it's that big, you assume a lot of people would need to know about this thing. So I don't know. What do you make of these comments now that it's kind of circled back again? Again, thank you to UAP Reporting Center for putting this particular one out there. I appreciate you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and we'll see you back here soon.